My Dream by Leo Tolstoy. End. Michael Ivanovich awoke early next morning. He entered his brother's study and handed him the cheque, filled in for a sum which he asked him to pay in monthly installments to his daughter. He inquired when the express left for St. Petersburg. The train left at 7 in the evening, giving him time for an early dinner before leaving. He breakfasted with his sister-in-law, who refrained from mentioning the subject which was so painful to him, but only looked at him timidly, and after breakfast he went out for his regular morning walk. Alexandra Dmitrievna followed him into the hall. "Go to the public gardens, Michael. It is very charming there, and quite near to everything," said she, meeting his sombre looks with a pathetic glance. Michael Ivanovich followed her advice and went to the public gardens, which were so near to everything, and meditated with annoyance on the stupidity, the obstinacy, and the heartlessness of women. "She is not in the very least sorry for me," he thought of his sister-in-law. "She cannot even understand my sorrow. And what of her?" He was thinking of his daughter. "She knows what all this means to me, the torture. What a blow in one's old age. My days will be shortened by it, but I'd rather have it over than endure this agony. And all that poor les beaux yeux d'un chenapan. Oh," he moaned, and a wave of hatred and fury arose in him as he thought of what would be said in the town when everyone knew. And no doubt everyone knew already. Such a feeling of rage possessed him that he would have liked to beat it into her head and make her understand what she had done. These women never understand. "It is quite near everything," suddenly came to his mind, and getting out his notebook, he found her address: Vera Ivanovna Silvestrova, Kukonskaya Street, Abromov's house. She was living under this name. He left the gardens and called a cab. "Whom do you wish to see, sir?" asked the midwife, Maria Ivanovna, when he stepped on the narrow landing of the steep, stuffy staircase. "Does Madame Silvestrova live here?" "Vera Ivanovna? Yes, please come in. She has gone out. She's gone to the shop round the corner, but she'll be back in a minute." Michael Ivanovich followed the stout figure of Maria Ivanovna into a tiny parlour, and from the next room came the screams of a baby, sounding cross and peevish, which filled him with disgust. They cut him like a knife. Maria Ivanovna apologized and went into the room, and he could hear her soothing the child. The child became quiet, and she returned. "That is her baby. She'll be back in a minute. You are a friend of hers, I suppose?" "Yes, a friend. But I think I'd better come back later on," said Michael Ivanovich, preparing to go. It was too unbearable, this preparation to meet her, and any explanation seemed impossible. He had just turned to leave when he heard quick, light steps on the stairs, and he recognized Lisa's voice. "Maria Ivanovna? Has he been crying while I've been gone? I was—" Then she saw her father. The parcel she was carrying fell from her hands. "Father!" she cried, and stopped in the doorway, white and trembling. He remained motionless, staring at her. She had grown so thin, her eyes were larger, her nose sharper, her hands worn and bony. He neither knew what to do nor what to say. He forgot all his grief about his dishonour. He only felt sorrow, infinite sorrow for her, sorrow for her thinness, and for her miserable, rough clothing, and most of all for her pitiful face and imploring eyes. "Father, forgive," she said, moving towards him. "Forgive, forgive me," he murmured, and he began to sob like a child, kissing her face and hands, and wetting them with his tears. In his pity for her, he understood himself, and when he saw himself as he was, he realized how he had wronged her, how guilty he had been in his pride, in his coldness, even in his anger towards her. He was glad that it was he who was guilty, and that he had nothing to forgive, but that he needed himself forgiveness. She took him to her tiny room and told him how she lived, but she did not show him the child, nor did she mention the past, knowing how painful it would be to him. He told her that she must live differently. "Yes, if only I could live in the country," said she. "We will talk it over," he said. Suddenly the child began to wail and to scream. She opened her eyes very wide, and not taking them from her father's face, remained hesitating and motionless. "Well, I suppose you must feed him," said Michael Ivanovich, and frowned with obvious effort. She got up, and suddenly the wild idea seized her to show him, whom she loved so deeply, the thing she now loved best of all in the world. But first she looked at her father's face. Would he be angry or not? His face revealed no anger, only suffering. "Yes, go, go," said he. "God bless you. Yes, I'll come again tomorrow, and we will decide. Goodbye, my darling, goodbye." Again he found it hard to swallow the lump in his throat. When Michael Ivanovich returned to his brother's house, Alexandra Dmitrievna immediately rushed to him. "Well?" "Well, nothing. Have you seen?" she asked, guessing from his expression that something had happened. "Yes," he answered shortly, and began to cry. "I'm getting old and stupid," said he, mastering his emotion. "No, you are growing wise, very wise."